All right. Good evening,
What's up?
everyone. Yeah, welcome once again to the Bigote Brothers podcast. We're deep in the conference finals now,
Pretty much.
and yeah, we have a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack with regards to these two series, two playoff series that we have. We're looking at we're looking at the Western Conference first, where we just finished the OKC
Yep.
Denver game. Oh, sorry,
Nope.
OKC Minnesota
Okay,
Minnesota game three.
just
Yeah,
finished game three. Yep.
yep, and yeah, it's pretty much a beatdown. Minnesota wins 143-101,
Pretty
and yeah,
bad. Yeah, it was a pretty bad beatdown, really. But let's start from the first game. So,
yeah,
uh, obviously this series started in OKC, right? And then
Mhm.
that narrative of Shea just being this
yeah,
free throw merchant strikes again,
right, hmm
right? So they had essentially what happened in that game was I think that the calls really influenced
hmm
the flow of that game, right?
right,
So you had Gobert picking up two fouls in the first quarter,
hmm
obviously impacted the interior defense of the Wolves, and at the half you had three guys with two fouls and Randall with three,
yep,
and the thing there is that obviously Jalen McDaniels is the primary defender for Shea.
right,
And he had two at the half. He had two fouls at the half, and that definitely just contributed to how they they played that game. Julius, I
hmm
remember, had a really good first half. He really was scoring. I think Julius has improved so much. I think obviously coming from the Lakers,
hmm
didn't have that jumper. He really has that jumper now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he showed
that's
that in
fair.
that first
Yep,
half.
yep,
Yep, he did disappear in the second half, and OKC really stepped up their defense,
hmm
forcing 17 total turnovers for Minnesota,
right,
and OKC having 13 steals out of that. And it didn't help that Ant was really horrible in that first game.
hmm
So he had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists in that game, but he was shooting below 40 really from the
right,
field, and that's that
yeah,
that's essentially the story of that game. Apart
hmm
from the free throws, which we'll talk about in a bit.
yeah.
So game two, what happened in game two?
Let's see. Game two. Oof, yeah, that was a big game from SGA again. 38, 3-8. Ooh,
I think this was the game when he was presented the MVP as well.
yeah.
He was given the trophy. Yeah.
He was given the trophy, and oh man, like shooting wise, wow. 57 um 57% um field goals, 50% three pointers, 87% free throws. Wow.
You're not gonna beat that, man. If your
No,
best player is playing like that, there's no
no, there's
reason
no
why you
way.
should lose.
There's no way. And
It,
like, oh my god, like, you know what this reminds me of? His free throw numbers right now reminds me of Dirk Nowitzki's championship season in 2011.
okay. It's
Yeah,
interesting. What's going on with that?
I mean, and there was first as a Laker fan, it was frustrating for me to remember how we got swept. That
Yep.
was that was the Bynum,
The body check against JJ Maria.
against JJ Barea. And Dirk was just getting all the free throws. I remember, I was watching Dirk, and he's hitting all these shots, and then whenever he misses, like, I'm like, why does it seem like the referee's calling a foul every time he misses? So
Right.
he still gets two free throws. That's kind of what it reminds me of. You
No, that's
yeah,
really fair
yeah,
because obviously if you look at the numbers, I
Mhm.
just look at the base numbers. You see that Shea isn't really cracking. He's not going to the line a lot. But if
Mhm.
you go watch the games, it's a bit different feeling.
Right,
For example, there was this time in, I believe it was the Denver series,
right,
where Shea, I think, tried to go through or between two Denver Nuggets,
hmm
just going through the hole against those two guys, and then there was no contact at all, and
hmm
the refs called a foul,
yeah,
obviously. and you see Jamal Murray just acting like how Shea, because
Yeah.
the way Shea sells the fouls is, number one, the most common way he does it is he snaps his head back every time
Right.
there's contact, right?
Mm.
So he tries to fish for contact, and when he gets some sort of a little bit of contact, he snaps his head back, and he has this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of photos of him having this weird face
Right.
of just trying to sell these fouls, and for some reason the refs always give it to him.
Uh-huh.
So that's one, and there's even this photo of, I think it was against the Wolves in this specific series where he had the face. He was in between a couple of Minnesota guys, and
Right.
no one was touching him, and he had that specific face. Right? And look, I think there was, I like Shea SGA's game. Let's put it like that, right? I love the fact that he's one of the guys that loves the mid range so much.
Right.
There was this video I saw that juxtaposed him and Kobe
Oh.
of how Kobe did these footwork
Yeah.
moves in the paint, and it was essentially what Shea was doing as well. It was nice to watch. Don't get me wrong.
It's kind of like the Jordan Kobe video where you show like MJ like doing a fadeaway from the baseline and just Kobe doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The exact same spot on the court.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's similar to that, and it's that part of SGA's game really fun to watch. I like
Right.
the fact. I mean, we're old heads. We like the mid range game.
We like the mid range. If we see him, we see him attack the mid range and shoot those pull up jumpers.
He's so smooth with it too.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not. Look, I understand why he's doing the foul baiting. It's how the game is called recently. You know what I mean? It's what I'm so sad about when it comes to the recent NBA is how the league prioritizes offense more than defense now.
Right.
They give the offensive players so much leeway,
Yeah.
and there's just, if you're a defender, there's not much you can do really, because
Right.
every time you touch an offensive player, you get called for a foul. Every bump is a foul. The end one rules have become
Right.
very weird. And obviously, the foul baiters have started to really exploited it. It started with Harden, really.
Oh.
Remember that Harden, that Houston Harden, who was just getting all the free throws, and how he was just there was a couple of moves that he popularized. The one is the hooking of the arm.
Right.
So every time he drives to the hoop, whether it's his dominant hand or not, he usually hooks the arm of his defender, and he goes up from the shot.
Yeah.
And they call that every time. They give it 2 points.
Yeah. Or the that double pump. When you try to go for the three, and then Federer just comes close to you, whoa, and then you're gonna act like you got fouled or your shot was altered, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think flopping has really gotten out of hand with this.
Oh.
With the game recently, it's not really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I hate to pin it on SGA, but he's essentially doing what he's building on what Harden did back in the day, a couple of years back, with the facial movement, the head snapping, like everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
Even we were talking about the Knicks later, but there's this play with Jalen Brunson hooked. I don't know whose hand it was. I think it was Mathurin's or Neesmith's head, and he used it to slap himself in the head. And he drew his head back and got the foul call. Come on, man.
Goodness. Yeah, it's just.
Do you remember when this whole flopping thing started?
Oof.
Do you remember when it started? Because the first thing I remember, the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to flopping is Vladdy. Kings Vladdy.
Yeah.
Vladdy Divac. Whenever you see the Kings, right?
Kings Vladdy was terrible, like with the flopping and stuff. Yeah.
I think that's where it started. If you ask me,
I think that was 2002 conference finals where I first heard the term flopping.
Wow. Okay. I don't remember when it was, but yeah. What about it?
Like, calling Divac like the flop master and stuff like that. Because every time the only way he would be able to have a little bit of advantage over Shaq is when Shaq bodies him up, and then and he's kind of like act like little little bit of contact, and he's gonna like he's gonna fall to the floor, and try to bait that offensive foul call.
That was the initial one, right? So every time they would bang in the paint, then
Yeah.
the defender would throw himself back or something, and
Hmm.
that's when the flop started. I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So how did we get from that point to what we have now, where people are hooking arms, they are snapping their heads back?
I can't.
How do we get from there to this? That's what I'm thinking
I
about right now.
mean, because I also watch soccer. There's a lot of that stuff happening in soccer
Right.
too. Man.
Do you
Like
think that's the cause? Do you think football is
diving,
going to be the cause of that?
so I'm like, oh my god, like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay, I will go out on a limb here and say that
Uh-huh.
I don't watch too much football.
Yeah.
So how about you educate me on that fact? Because I really don't know anything about. I heard that that's where it came from, but
Yeah.
without watching the game, how would you describe it?
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo, how in football, like when you're in the when you're like in the when you're in the box, basically, and you get fouled there, that's a penalty kick. You know.
That's
So
that's the little box that's near the goalie, right?
no, not the little box, the bigger box.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you get fouled in the penalty in that box, that's a penalty kick. So that's pretty much. I mean, with good strikers like Messi and Ronaldo, that's pretty much a gimme. You know,
Right. So
Cristiano Ronaldo has this thing where when he has an advantage over a defender and he's in the box, you'll see some clips where the defender hardly touches him or that
uh
doesn't even get a foot on the ball or on his or even close to the ball, and he's gonna dive like he's gonna push himself forward and and act like he got fouled.
really, that's how it is.
Yeah.
So he's gonna try to fake the physical contact, is it?
Right, right.
Okay. So what's
Yeah.
the more acceptable level of contact when it comes to football?
Like if it's a sliding tackle in the box, then of course that no that will really get you on the ground or inhibit your movement. That's pretty much a foul.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would he do in that case? Would he just try to fake the fact that he got hit while doing
Right.
a being
Yeah.
tackled? Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that made its way to the NBA now? People seeing that.
Kinda. I
And
think kinda. Yeah.
I know a lot of basketball players in the NBA watch football as well.
Right.
So
Oh
they
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case because
Mhm.
if you see the evolution of flopping, right?
Yeah.
You'd have that. People would pull the chair. People would do what Vladdy did and exaggerate
Right. Hmm.
contact when someone's banging, right?
Mhm.
But these new ways of flopping, for example, you're using your voice to
Hmm.
communicate to the ref that you got hit. It's usually an
Mhm.
exaggerated scream.
Yep.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I remember D'Lo doing this a lot. Every time D'Lo jives, you'd hear hey,
Yeah.
hey.
I know after Vladi they were also labeling Ginobili as a flopper.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
mine was another one.
Yeah.
So
Man had that exaggerated, those exaggerated movements as well.
I think the first one is probably done that head snap, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Actually, I think so. Yeah, I think it was Manu who first did the head snap. Yeah.
I think mine was the first one to do that, and then
Yeah.
it just evolved from there's this one. Even Kobe was guilty of this, where I don't even know if this is a flop or a smart call. It's kind of there's a line between those two, right? So I know Kobe does this, and KD does this a lot as well.
Yeah.
That swinging motion
Mhm.
when defenders would put their arms arms
Uh-huh.
forward,
Uh-huh.
try to dissuade you from dribbling.
Yeah.
So people in the triple threat position, people
Yeah.
would swing their arms through and try to do the shot, and you get 2 points that
Oh,
way.
Kobe did that. Yeah. Remember that?
Kobe
Yeah.
did that a lot. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So that became, I remember that was originally an automatic shooting foul,
Right.
two free throws, but
Yeah.
they kind of revised the rules
Mm-hmm.
wherein you now just get the normal foul.
Right.
So that was one of the
Yeah.
changes that they did. And
Yeah.
another, I remember another way of flopping, and this was Dame was really good at this. Dame and I think Chris Paul was really good at this as well.
Uh-huh.
Was when, and I think Trey Young does this as well. So when you're going through a pick, people would, obviously you're gonna go full speed through that pick, right? Either
Right.
you're hitting towards the 3 point line, or you're
Uh-huh.
gonna go drive inside the paint.
Mm-hmm.
People would go full speed and then purposely slow down and try a jump shot
Right.
just to bait a foul.
Right.
So that's another one that they did.
Yeah.
And there was this other move where they would do a veer,
Mm-hmm.
to do a veer step, initiate the contact when driving
Right.
to the hoop, and that they would call that foul. They stopped doing that.
Yeah.
So obviously we talked about the Harden stuff already.
Right.
But
Right.
one interesting thing I saw was that this stuff wasn't being called in FIBA games,
No. Oh no, no, no.
right? So
Yeah.
if you notice the USA team,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's just them, but
Yeah.
I would say that the biggest shock was from the USA team because they're used to
Uh-huh.
getting these kinds of calls,
Right.
and during FIBA games they weren't.
No. Yeah. For some reason, FIBA referees know when it's a flop and when it's when it's actual contact.
So you're more well versed in this. So I want to ask you: is this
Yeah.
more of a referee thing, or is this more? Because obviously they're there to implement the rules, right? And
Right.
I'm not gonna say, I'm not even gonna say that the NBA is rigged or whatnot. I'm not even gonna breach
Mhm.
that topic yet. Although there's
Uh-huh.
the Tim Donaghy stuff I want to talk
Oh
about
yeah. Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
But for
Eventually.
this one, is it a matter of just the league mandating that specific fouls be called? Because we've seen in the FIBA game they're a lot more strict when it comes to this
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's like. I think it's like it's like the league setting a standard of, as to what has to be called. I think it's what you mentioned earlier, that the league is favoring offense.
Right.
Like they're giving offensive players a lot of leeway because I mean, if you look at the history of the NBA, higher scoring means more, more ratings. And that's just
Right.
how it's been. Like if you really go back to like old NBA history, like 1940s, early 50s, teams were stalling. And when teams were stalling, they didn't have a shot clock. It became boring. So then they institutionalized the shot clock, so that way the game has a faster pace, and you go to and then to all these things that the league instituted throughout history to increase scoring and increase ratings, like the three point shot. The And in the 90s we had that 3 point line shortened from 23-9 to 22
Yeah, I
something.
remember that. Yeah.
And then so suddenly they said, "Oh, let's bring it back to 23-9." And then the no hand checking, the no hand checking rule. I think I think it's just the league prioritizing offense. I mean, in FIBA you don't have these concerns because the way fans look at the game internationally is, hey, offense and defense are like on equal ground. We're gonna play. We're gonna have we're gonna have a motion offense where we swing and set up for the 3 point shot. Yes, but we're still gonna play aggressive defense on the other end. If you noticed, also back then, in the 90s, and I know that and some of the people on the Dream Team were talking about it. Like back then, the NBA in the early 90s, late 80s, they wouldn't spot up from three constantly. But back then, the European game was their first option was was the 3 pointer. So if in that era where you look at the games of the Dream Team, you'd see the U.S. attempting less three pointers than than the international teams, because European teams, Asian teams, a lot of those teams, the first option was the three,
Right.
which is like how the game is played now in the NBA. You know.
Shout out to the South Korean team, by the way.
Ooh.
Every time the Philippines face them, you know they're
Yeah.
gonna shoot a lot of threes, right?
Yeah. Oh,
That's how.
the Korean team has been. I don't know if you remember this name from the '90s, man. Her J.
No. It was
Her J was like the Reggie Miller of of South Korea back in the '90s.
okay.
He would like
'Cause-
average like 8 or 9 threes a game made.
But
That's how good he was. Yeah.
the funny thing about that is that obviously the Koreans kind of, well, at least for us, they kind of popularized this. But
Right.
that's what Japan is essentially doing now.
Yeah.
They're essentially playing a lot of threes. I watched a lot of the at least the women's game of Japan.
Right.
That's essentially what they're doing. They're just bombing from threes every time because
Yeah.
obviously they're undersized, but they're
Yeah.
quick as hell and they pass so well, and they played that to their advantage, and they've essentially
Yeah.
just focused on the threes a lot now.
They know they're undersized. That's why they always they swing it, and they spot up from the three from behind the arc constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we just the series for the Western Conference Finals is now 2-1. You
Right.
got that beatdown, the big game 3 from the Wolves, where
Yeah.
they were up 32 at the half, and everyone was just shooting
They're
threes.
garbage time by the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And the thing that I noticed with how Minnesota was playing is that they played with a sense of urgency I didn't see in the
Right.
first couple of games.
Yeah.
And they had that rebounding edge, and that's where most of their offense obviously came from, with a lot of fast breaks, a lot of offensive rebounds, a lot
Right.
of threes, and they were making their threes. So it's just a big night and day difference from games
From
1 and 2 in
one and
OKC.
two, yeah. Yeah.
Plus, also it really helped them that the fouls weren't really as rampantly called for them,
Right. Yeah.
because the main concern that everyone from Minnesota had was they can't play proper defense on SGA, but for some reason OKC is getting getting away with a lot of physicality.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't the case here. So I mean I don't want to say it's the refs that bailed them out, but Minnesota definitely played a great game.
They played so much better. Yeah.
So with that being said, it's now 2-1. It's now a 2-1 series.
Yes.
You fully expect OKC to come back strong in Game
Yeah.
4.
Oh yeah.
Where do you see this series going now?
2-1. Honestly, when OKC went up 2-0, I was like, this is gonna be quick. But now that Minnesota delivered a statement game, I think Game 4 is gonna be really close. I think it's gonna be neck and neck. And if Minnesota wins this, then yeah, there you go. We're back. We're back to square one. Yeah.
If Minnesota gets that game, are you gonna give him an edge for the rest of the series?
For the rest of the series, I wouldn't say yet. That would have to be determined by who wins Game 5.
Right.
Now, if OKC wins Game 4, and
Well, it's over.
they're pretty much done. Yeah.
Right. It's gonna be over if it's down 3-1. I don't think this Minnesota team is good enough to come back
So
from
it's
that.
a must. Yeah, Minnesota must-win situation for Game 4.
Yeah, I mean they just gotta hold on to serve, right? They just gotta hold
Right.
serve in their home court,
Yeah.
and if it comes to a Game 7, it's gonna come to that. But I think this is gonna be over in 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that OKC's gonna pick Game 4 up and finish it in 6. That's how I see it. So if they don't finish it in 6, they're gonna finish it in 5.
In 5.
But I don't really I don't have a lot of trust in the fact that can Minnesota do this for 3 more games? Meaning how they kind of stopped OKC a little bit. I don't think that's gonna be the
I don't
case.
think that's going to be the case.
Yeah,
If there's any team who's good at making adjustments, it's OKC.
and they're deep as hell.
Yeah.
People don't
Oh,
like to talk about that, but
yeah.
they're deep as hell, and
They're so deep.
they
Yeah.
there's just so much athleticism and height in their team.
Yeah.
And the fact that most of those dudes are on rookie contracts. It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy that SGA is the only one that's paid a lot of money in that team, and they still have
Right.
a lot of assets to play with.
Right.
If they fall short this year, this time next year, and the window is essentially really big.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the West.
Mhm.
Let's go to the East. This is I
Oh,
mean, look,
man.
I didn't expect this OKC Minnesota series to take long really, but
Right.
I expect a war with the East, and we got that in the first game.
Yeah.
How about that game 1 comeback by
Oh, my
Indiana?
goodness.
Talk to us about that.
I mean, talk about the Knicks just falling apart. Like, what just happened there, man? Like,
I don't know. I was watching that game, and obviously I'm rooting for the Knicks here. Okay, let's be transparent with that.
yeah.
I like it when the Knicks are successful, and
Right.
I'm rooting for them in this series. But
Mhm.
that first game was just it was. If I was a Knicks fan, I would be so depressed
Oh,
of
yeah.
how they lost that lead, man.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, they came back from what they were. Knicks were I believe double digits up with 2 minutes left to go.
2 minutes left, yeah.
Right? They essentially had a big lead when Jalen Brunson had to go to the bench,
Mm.
and they were rolling, man. Everyone was just in the zone. I mean, Josh Hart was playing well, Miles McBride was playing well.
Right.
You got everyone was playing amazing, and then for some specific reason, in that
The wheels
2 minute
just came
stretch,
off.
they lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that happen? How does that happen? Tell me.
What actually? It's not even that. It's so we're gonna talk about the Tyrese Halliburton shot.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's go for that. Yeah.
Let's talk. What surprised me more was in overtime, the Knicks played. The Knicks were playing Matador defense for 3 straight possessions in overtime. Gave up, gave up a first possession. They give up a putback dunk from Obi Toppin.
Ex New York Nick,
Second
by the way.
possession, gave up. I don't know if it was a Tyrese Halliburton 3 or if it was a Nemhard 3. And then third, they gave up a wide open dunk from I think it's Neesmith in overtime. Like three consecutive terrible defensive sequences for the Knicks. I was like, what is going on? Like, I know they were scoring on the other end, but dude, like, they were just giving Indiana the points. Like,
I
and then all
think
of a sudden, and then eventually, yeah, Indiana came away with a 3-point win because they couldn't convert on offense. Because you guys were like sloppy on defense for 3 straight possessions. That's what happened.
I think they got the life sucked out of them with that Halliburton shot. Let's talk about the lead up to that, right? So
Oh my god.
they had a 17-point lead.
Yeah.
And what happened was Neesmith was really, really hot. He drained 6 threes in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then it didn't help that New York missed crucial free throws.
No.
So OG missed one, Kat missed one, and they essentially were at the mercy of Tyrese Halliburton. But
Right.
let's talk. I want to focus on one specific thing here in this play, and they were up 3, and Aaron Neesmith was on a heater, obviously,
Yeah. Yep.
and the Knicks decided to do something very, very unique that I don't see a lot of teams do, but commentators usually praise this move.
Uh-huh.
They fouled. They gave up the intentional foul to send Neesmith to the line instead of going for letting him really miss the 3. Instead of
Right.
defending the 3, they allowed him 2 free throws,
Right.
which he sank.
Yeah.
And on the next end, Kat, I believe it was Kat who missed 1 or 2
Yep.
to set up that Halliburton shot, really.
Right.
So what do you think about that tactic? Fouling instead of fouling in the penalty to prevent the 3-point shot rather than just letting
So
the defense play out.
getting 2 points rather than giving up 2 points rather than giving up three.
Yep.
I mean, if he's hot, then I understand why they did that.
But
He's on. Yeah, he made like 6 threes in 5 minutes. So yeah.
so the crucial thing here is that it's not something that people usually do. I remember
Yeah.
it's something that they usually let the defense take care of it.
Right.
And coming from a defensive oriented coach like Tibbs, I
Mm-hmm.
was really surprised that he let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of expecting them to do some sort of trap or just to get the ball on Neesmith's hands
Right.
rather than outright just
Yeah, like a
send
full
him to the
denial,
line.
right? Yeah, full denial rather than foul him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm in the train. I'm in the camp that you should let your defense take care of it.
Dictate.
I think you should
Yeah.
just let them take the three, miss or not. At least you play
Oh yeah,
defense.
definitely. I would. I'm all for I'm all for full denial. Don't let him get the ball. I'd like in that situation. I'd rather get beat by a Halliburton shot, which obviously happened, rather than get the whoever's on fire rather than him. Have make that statement and like torch us with with another 3 point another 3 pointer. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty concerning if you're a Nick fan
Right.
because you'd think that Thibs would have the solution to that,
Right.
but it kind of seems that he got outcoached in that game,
Mm.
and they lost. They obviously lost steam in game one in the
Right.
overtime, and then
Right.
game two it kind of spilled over
Yeah.
because they didn't really play that well in game two as
Right.
well. I
Mhm.
they had that lead, right? But it was
Mhm.
more of a back and forth game, and you didn't really feel that someone had control.
Mhm.
So I wasn't surprised that the Knicks lost game two.
Right. Mhm.
But talk about that moment between Halliburton and Reggie in game one.
Oh, yeah. It's funny, because right after game one, what I did was I went over to Disney Plus, and I watched the Winning Time documentary.
I still have that
Miller
cue.
versus the Knicks, bro.
I
Like,
still have that. Yeah.
I want to get some context on this rivalry because this is like you know Halliburton doing the choke
Yeah.
celebration.
He did
It's
the
like it's
choke.
on. Here we go
So,
again.
so I think what happened was
Yeah,
he had that impossible shot, right? It kind of
right.
reminded me of the Kawhi shot with the way it
Yeah,
just bounced
yeah,
into the hoop.
yeah.
So I believe the sequence of events was that shot went in. He
Uh-huh.
pointed to Reggie Miller, and there was a great photo of them pointing at each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
And then he did the choke sign.
You did the
Obviously,
choke
that's
sign.
that's,
Yeah,
that's gonna be plastered throughout the New York media the next day.
right.
That was it. That's definitely another legendary moment in this
Oh
legendary
yeah.
rivalry.
It's a legendary rivalry, and it goes all the way back to 1993. Like, I was based on that documentary. Like, and it's it was basically Indiana trying to get over the hump.
Mm.
93 they lost. 94 Miller. That's when Miller did the choke. And again, it was in the same context. Knicks were up big. And then, of all people, man, of all people, Spike Lee starts talking smack. Spike Lee starts talking smack at Reggie Miller, and Reggie Miller goes for 25 in the fourth.
Was '94 the Patrick Ewing Figueroa miss?
No, that was 95.
All right.
Yeah, that was when they finally got over the hump and beat the Knicks.
That was, I mean, this
Ah,
is this is definitely going in the history books, right? The
oh yeah,
way that
Mhm.
first game just
Right.
had so much
Yeah,
energy and what the ending was to it. And
right.
I mean, Halliburton was essentially a couple of feet away from just cementing himself. I mean, look, he's already done that, but it
Yeah,
would have been a lot more epic if it was a three. But unfortunately, it was not.
right.
But it still was an epic ending to the
The
game.
the thing
How they
that
came back.
Yeah, the thing that just amazed me about Tyrese's shot was, okay, for context, all right. Reggie Miller did the same thing, 95 game one.
Mm.
They were again another choke job by the Knicks, man. Like they were up, the Knicks were up 105-99, game one. Reggie hits a three, and they go into a full court press. Anthony Mason is the one inbounding the ball. And Pat Riley, according to the documentary, says he's the worst inbounder on the team. And he gives it up, basically. Gives it up. He I think it was Greg Anthony. He was trying to pass the ball to Greg Anthony, and Greg Anthony kind of slipped. So, but he gave it up anyway. So Miller caught that ball and then had the presence of mind to go back, to retreat back to the 3-point line and shoot another three and they tied the game. Now, Reggie Miller did that because obviously they need a three. They need a three
Yeah.
to to tie, at least to stay in the game. What really amazes me about the Tyrese shot is that they were down two, and he purposely, he's by the free throw line. He could get an easy two if he wanted to and tie the game, but he
He
purposely
wanted the three.
retreated back to the three.
Yeah.
He's like, it's fuck this, win or die trying, man.
He wanted the three. He wanted to stick it to New York, really.
He wanted to do it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
just so much craziness in the series. And you,
Mhm.
you know that guy who I think it was a firefighter after the end of that that previous series with New York. There was a guy wearing I believe a Halliburton jersey, and Knicks fans were throwing trash bags at him. And yeah, there's this video going around of that guy. And apparently he's a firefighter, and he got invited by Halliburton to Game 3, which
Uh-huh.
is going to be happening in Indiana now.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Knicks are now down 2-0. They lost both games at home.
Yeah.
Usually a catastrophic kind
I was
of
expecting
event.
I was expecting them to win game two at least, but I don't know
Yep.
the repercussions of game one is just yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were after game 1. You gotta expect them to come back hard, right? But it's just what it is.
Context though, the Halliburton three was called a two because he had a foot on the line.
Actually, a toe, man. It was so close.
Yeah, imagine that if the Knicks won game one, he would have been vilified for doing that, for
Yeah.
celebrating too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been
Now
vilified.
it turned into a legendary moment.
And it turned into, not only that, and I read something where the choke symbol now becomes a foreshadowing of what's gonna happen in overtime, or they're gonna choke even more.
That's just so bad. So
It's terrible. I don't know what's happened with the Knicks.
I mean, look, it's kind of a similar situation to them now. They're kind of forced into winning away, right?
Right.
Let's not forget that they came back from 20 down against. I think was it twice against the Celtics
Yeah, they can't go twice. First two
in
games.
Boston. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to
Yeah.
do it again. But you gotta think, man. After two deflating losses like that, I don't know how possible that is gonna be for them moving forward.
Yeah.
So, Game 3 is gonna be telling as to how they're
Right.
gonna be. Do they even have some life, right? Because if they come out flat in Game 3 and they lose, obviously it's over.
And that's it. Yeah.
So that's essentially their season
Right.
right there. Their
Right.
season is riding on this next Game 3. So I just want to bring up a very specific point because I was talking to someone offline about this series, and one of the things he mentioned was Tibbs has been really outcoached, and I've seen Isaiah Thomas, IT4, come out with the same thing,
Uh-huh.
and I think that a lot of people feel the same way. Is Tibbs getting outcoached here?
Good
But
question.
Carlisle is a good coach. Let's not forget that he's
Rick
a
Carlisle's
championship
great
coach.
Yeah, he's a championship
Right,
coach.
and Tibbs is a great defensive mind, but he's
Right.
not hasn't really led a team. I think this is the farthest he's led a team before.
Oh,
the conference finals.
right,
That
yeah.
was the same with the Bulls. I believe a second round as well. Oh no,
Yeah.
it was an ECF thing as well. That first year with the Bulls.
The first year with the Bulls, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was they lost in 5 games to the Heat.
Yeah.
But we kind of gave him a little bit of slack with that because that was the Heatles,
The Heatles, yeah.
the peak Heatles.
Yep.
But this he's now reached the conference finals now, and he's about to lose. Is this a Thibs thing? Is this a coaching thing now?
I mean, Thibs is a great coach. Like he's a like yeah, one of the best defensive minds out there. But I mean, it's not just from a it's not just from a playbook standpoint, but you expect the Knicks to kind of, really, kind of really have that must-win mentality for game 2, and they didn't
Yep.
have it. So, it's I don't know. I think it's if to actually just pin it on Thibs for losing game 2 as well would kind of be unfair to him. But I don't know. It's just right. It's the circumstance. I think for me, it's the way they lost game 1. It was so uncharacteristic of how they played, and I think at the end of the day, probably like blowing a 17-point lead with few minutes left in the fourth, that
Yep.
could also be a coaching thing, but and there's so many factors, like, and just the way game 1 ended was just tragic,
Right, right.
for the Knicks.
I I I think this is probably gonna be this or next season is probably gonna be Thibs' last if he continues this way.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is okay. So Tibbs has been with the Knicks for 5 years. This is his fifth season with them. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the first season that they had was in 2021,
Right.
and they were a first round exit.
Mm-hmm.
The next season they didn't even make the playoffs,
Right.
and then you have second round exits in the previous 2 years before
Mhm.
this one.
23,
And
24.
they're now, yeah, so they're now obviously poised to take a big loss in the conference finals. This is the
Right.
farthest that they've gone
Yeah.
as under Tibbs,
Mhm.
and this is the most successful the Knicks have had been for a while. We know
Right.
that. So I think he's gonna get another shot after this season.
Mhm.
But the way things are going now, I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go after the season as well.
Mhm.
My money's on the fact that he's probably gonna be a coach for at least 1 year,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
that's it. Because
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
the reason why I say that as well is if you look at their offense, and we can talk about the defense all we want, and that's been great. If we want to take a look at the offense, there's really not much of an offense there.
No.
They in the offseason they traded for Mikal Bridges,
Right.
and then they traded Julius Randle away. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean this is probably one of the strongest rosters the Knicks have had in years.
True.
But the
Yeah.
problem with them is how their offense flows. It's a very heavy Jalen Brunson offense, really,
Yeah.
and I think that has affected Carl Anthony Towns a little bit because if he's aggressive, if Cat is aggressive, then the Knicks have this two-way center. But if Cat is unengaged and he's just essentially, doesn't perform to his capabilities really, and that's what I've seen. If you're gonna have a Jalen Brunson heavy offense, it's an ISO heavy offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a limit to that kind of offense in today's NBA, and we've seen that
Right.
with the Lakers, man. We've seen
Yeah.
how a LeBron centric offense, even with the right personnel, is not conducive to winning because
Yeah.
the opposing defense is gonna be able to load up easily.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, Tibbs has been this way even with the Bulls, even with Minnesota. It's the same kind of mentality where you let your stars essentially
Mhm.
dictate the offense.
Dictate the
But
offense. Yeah.
that should be him. That should be him game planning.
Right.
That should be him making those adjustments. But
Hmm.
I don't think he's of that mindset, or he has the right people around him.
Right.
Really. So I do think Thibs has been out coached by Rick Carlisle here.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle has figured them out,
Offense wise, yeah. Mhm.
right? And so
Mhm.
if nothing else is working for them, then that's essentially what it is. So I'm predicting that this might be his last season, if not his penultimate one.
Mhm.
So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens after this. They're obviously down 2-0, and they have an uphill battle to
Right.
climb now if they even want to win this, because Indiana's in the driver's seat, and it might be a sweep. We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen in Game
Yeah.
3. We'll see.
Don't know. Yeah.
So that's gonna be tomorrow, and we'll obviously cover the rest of the games as they go along. But I do wanna move on to something that's that's a bit odd. So
Yeah.
okay, so yesterday I was. Let me just frame this for a bit to say that there's not a lot of American fast food in New Zealand,
Right.
which is unfortunate.
Mm.
Right? We have the normal stuff. We have the McDonald's. We
Yeah.
have the Burger King.
Yep.
But as far as fast food options goes, I think we have Taco Bell and Carl's as well, so that's
Yeah.
just pretty good.
Mm.
But as far as fried chicken is concerned, okay, I love fried chicken. Number one,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things to eat.
Yep.
Right? We all love fried chicken.
Yep.
Now, I had Popeyes just came here recently.
Ooh,
Popeyes is one of my
okay.
favorites. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So when I first discovered Popeyes in the Philippines, I was like, "Bam, man! Where
Yeah.
has this been all my life?"
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Popeyes opened a store here, I think a year ago or something. But
Right.
most of their stores are far away from my place. I really have to drive just to get
Right.
one.
Mm.
So that sucks. But I was able to do that yesterday, so that was great.
Yeah.
It really got me thinking. So, what do you think are the goat fried chicken places that you can eat, or have you eaten at?
gosh.
What do you think are the greatest fried chicken places you've eaten at in your life?
In
This
my
is
life?
counting everything. I want to count everything here. Okay,
On everything? Okay.
let's listen down.
All right, let's go. I'll try to go top 5.
Okay, let's go top. How about number 5? What's number 5?
Let's see. I'm trying to build my list now. Okay. 3, 4.
Take it
Okay.
a lot. There
Number
we go.
5 would be I don't know if they have that in New Zealand, but number 5 would be Churches.
Yes, we have that. That's called Texas
Churches.
chicken here, and I love that too.
Right. Yeah. Churches is
So-
really good. Yeah.
The crunch that they have in their chicken is
Yeah.
just so. We do have that again. It's called Texas here, Texas
Yeah.
chicken here.
Right.
So, the thing that I love about that place is
Mhm.
that, and I know you're gonna agree with me on this with the spicy chicken that they have.
Yes. Yes. Their spicy chicken has kick.
Has a lot of kick, man. It's
Right.
probably the
Yeah.
spiciest chicken I've tasted here.
Right.
I mean, I've had bad Church's chicken where it's too spicy, and
Yeah. Mhm.
I can't go to work the next day, or I can't move the next day. I've had
Oh,
that, but
shit.
there are some times when the spice was just right,
Uh-huh.
and you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah,
Right.
I would agree. I would agree. Texas
Yep.
Church's is on that list.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I did mention top 5, but I gotta make it 6. And on the honorable mention list is the OG
Okay.
KFC.
Oh wow! It's
Yeah.
that low. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I love KFC. I love KFC, but it's just that a lot of the other businesses have upped their fried chicken game.
Or I'm gonna hear it, but let me ask.
Yeah.
What about KFC? What's the thing you love most about KFC?
They're the OG. They're the OG.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a childhood core memory. You know.
So is it original or hot and crispy for you?
Oh, hot
when
crispy.
you-
Yeah.
Okay.
It does
All
not
right. So
have- it's just called extra crispy here, though.
okay. So this I don't know when the last time you had Philippines KFC. I don't know if you remember it, but when I was
I
still
remember.
there.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So just for the sake, I always order I always am torn between the crispy one, the hot and crispy one, and the original one.
and
I
those,
usually
yeah.
gravitate towards the original one because here's the thing. So in the Philippines, when did you leave the Philippines again?
Like for good 2007.
South Center. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you were going to KFC when you were still in the
Yeah.
Philippines, but
Mm.
I remember, and I know this has changed now, but I remember back in the day where the gravy was just free,
Yeah.
and they had that in this big container. You can essentially just grab it by yourself, right? And
Right.
some stores initially had the picture of gravy that would they would just put in the condiment section. They would just put it there.
Right.
And before I left in 2008, they had it in the pump dispensers.
Yeah.
So those are two ones. Now, the reason why KFC is very, very dear to me is because
Uh-huh.
that gravy in the Philippines is very good.
It was very good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very great. Now, and my friends and my girlfriend hated me for this. Is how I would eat it. So my go to in KFC is usually 2 pieces original or 3,
Yeah.
and then for each piece of chicken, I would get an order of rice.
Yeah.
I would get extra rice for each of those chicken, and
Oh.
I would flood that bad boy in gravy. It looked like porridge. Right? It came to the
Nice.
point where I would need a big plate because I would flood that bad boy with gravy. It looked like soup.
Yeah.
I know
But
it's
no, I mean, I don't blame you, man. The gravy in the Philippines was just, it was on another level.
it tasted like proper gravy, and that's
Proper
why
gravy. Yeah.
that's why I kind of have the church's one high on my list as well because the gravy compared to KFC here,
Yeah.
the KFC gravy here just tastes like flour. That's it. Doesn't
Yeah.
taste like shit.
Uh,
But the church's one is
Right.
higher. Okay, so what's next? So you got that's your number 6. How about
right.
number 4?
Number 4 would be and they don't have this here in the US. The McDonald's fried chicken.
Oh, that's
They only have it in the
right.
Philippines.
It's only in the Philippines. That's right. Yes.
Another childhood memory for me. Yep.
That was so good. That was so
Yeah.
good. I mean, it's always been a struggle if you're in the Philippines whether you're gonna eat. If you want fried chicken, you have a lot of choices, and I know
yeah.
one of those is gonna be in this list. It should be,
Right.
but I'll let you get to that. But
Right.
yeah, the McDonald's chicken. I mean, I wouldn't rack it over churches if I were to remember it, but I understand it was still good.
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
The way they breaded that thing was
Just
great.
because of the nostalgia factor, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
number 4.
Next, number 3 is an unlikely candidate on the list, but it's a staple here in LA. The other KFC, Korean fried chicken.
Oh my god! Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bonchon, those, you know,
Dude,
those
they
guys.
know they know how to cook chicken, man. They know how to cook chicken. It's
And the
crazy.
thing about Korean fried chicken is they can drench it in sauce and it'll stay crispy.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it because it's double fried? They double fry that bad boy, right?
yeah.
So that's how they cook it, and they
Yeah.
just lather it with sauce. And
Right.
I got a funny story about this.
Yeah.
So there's this local joint here, and I love buying from them because they have their budget meals are really
Right.
worth it. So
Yeah.
you can get a half and half for
Uh-huh.
a good price.
Right.
So we always order the honey soy. That's
Right.
just
Yeah,
the basic,
honey
right?
soy, yeah. Mhm.
So the second part of the half and half depends on the mood. So, and this is me being naive. We love spicy food, right?
Right.
I picked that up from you.
Yeah.
So I ordered this flavor that they had. It was called Volcano. I was like, oh, this sounds good, man. This sounds
Yeah.
good. Okay, take note. I've never had when I eat Korean food, it's never spicy, right? I never tried how spicy their food
Yeah.
is. So I ordered Volcano to go with it.
Yeah.
And man, I'm telling you, man, that's probably one of the most painful times in my life. I gotta say, because I mean, I didn't want it to go to waste, right?
Yeah.
I knew I still had to eat it, but I couldn't physically touch it because my fingers felt so warm,
Right.
and then I couldn't physically eat it because I physically can't swallow
Yeah.
it. It was just too hot.
Is it hot? Yeah.
I had to go and dunk him in water before I was even able to eat
Or
it.
milk? Yeah.
That was it, man. But it was
Yeah.
it was great. it was still great, but yeah, it was a fun. It was a fun. But I agree, Korean fried chicken is the goat. Yep.
Yep. Number two on my list, and number one and two interchangeable between my wife and I. But my wife, this is my wife's number one, and this is my number two is Popeyes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. The
Yeah.
gravy, man. The gravy's just too good. The
There's
fries,
gravy- There's
the
gravy.
Cajun stuff's good.
I don't think they have gravy at Popeyes here.
You don't have Cajun gravy up in there?
No, I don't
They
think
don't.
so. No.
You serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I can actually have a
We have the
tub
hot
in my
sauce.
my
We have
fridge
the
right
Yuzu
now.
and the hot sauce, but not not the Cajun gravy.
But the chicken is just great, man.
It is.
The way it's breaded, it's crunchy, it's
Yeah.
crispy, it's juicy inside,
Right.
man. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I was so happy that they finally had Popeyes in here
Right.
because it's always been alternating between KFC and churches here
Right.
for us because that's all we had.
Right.
So I was so happy when Popeyes came here, but it's a 30-minute drive, and I can't make that drive every time.
30-minute drive.
So I wanna talk to Popeyes New Zealand for a bit. You guys gotta get more stores, man. I
Yep.
really want a little bit more Popeyes. So
Yep.
come on, get that cracking.
Yeah.
Number one.
Of course.
This is blasphemy if you don't have this as
If
number
you
one.
don't
By
have
the
this
way,
as number one, man. No.
this is blasphemy.
Jollibee
Gotta-
has.
There you
Jollibee
go.
has
There
to
you go. That's it. It's gotta be
Jollibee
number
has to
one.
take it. It's not even close. Not even.
It's
close.
not even close. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So
If they didn't have the spicy chicken joy, then it would probably be a toss up on number one between them and Popeyes. But
I still wouldn't question it. No.
because they had
No.
the spicy chicken joy, I'm like, nah, it's not even.
It's
close.
great. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I would give you that, but
Yeah.
I still can't. I still can't put it below
It
number
would
one
still
for
be
me. It's
number
just
one. It would still definitely be number one, but the gap would just be not
Fair.
not far.
Fair.
Yeah.
and here's the thing: we don't have Jollibee in this part of the world. So there's no Jollibee in New Zealand. There's no
Yeah.
Jollibee in
Yeah, I
Australia.
remember you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, the closest Jollibee that we can have here is if we go to the States or if you go to Asia. That's it.
Singapore,
There's no in
probably.
between. Singapore is probably the closest one you can
Yeah.
get, and
Damn,
Man.
there's not in Australia. I know there's a lot of Filipinos in Australia though.
I know that's what I'm saying. Why Jollibee's gonna make a ton of bank if they just expand to this
Yeah.
part of the world. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who's gonna eat that, and
Right.
I'm one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Because that I mean that Jollibee is just crazy. I mean even the burgers are good.
Mm,
Even the burgers are good, and Jollibee
Yeah.
is just a little bit juicy. But
yeah.
I mean Chicken Joy's their money maker, and it's always gonna
Right.
be. I need to add one more to that list. I think you
Yeah.
forgot one more thing, and
Uh-huh.
it's more of a Filipino thing. Max's chicken, bro.
Oh.
Max's chicken.
Yes.
Max chicken. The difference between the chicken that you mentioned and this one, for those who have never had Max's, is
Oh gosh.
it's
that's
not coated,
amazing.
right? It's just the skin
No,
dip.
It's just
the
as
skin.
it is.
breed.
Yeah.
So Max's is probably one of the crispiest skins you're ever gonna
Yeah,
taste. And
it's
the
kinda
way they
like,
season that.
It's kind of like I know you lived in Singapore for a time, but you've had the Indonesian fried chicken, right? I don't know how they call it. Ayam.
I don't know what it's
something.
called.
Yeah.
I
but-
am. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
They fry it like as is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Also. Yeah.
The seasoning is so good with Max's chicken,
Yeah.
man. I mean, it's just. It's a family staple, really.
It's
When you
a
go
family
out, go out, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, there's a Max's like really close to where I work. It's in Glendale. There's a Max's right in front
Yeah,
of the
there's
Galleria.
a lot of Max's. Should be. Should be
But
a lot
the
of
good
Max's
thing
there.
about Max's is they've expanded their menu. Like now they have crispy pata. Now they have sisig.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
it's become like a household Filipino restaurant now, not just a
Yeah.
chicken place. Yeah,
It should be. I mean, you come there for the chicken, obviously, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more food in there, right?
it's oh my gosh, yeah,
And
that's a
So
nostalgia.
Max's fried chicken and banana
Yeah.
ketchup. This you can't beat that
Oh
combination,
my gosh,
man.
yeah, yeah.
You can't beat that. I mean,
can't
if you
beat
want to
that.
add a little bit of hot sauce to that, that'd be great as well.
That yep.
Right now, I can't believe I'm segueing to this next one. We obviously finished talking about food.
Right.
Toys Big was he had his birthday recently. All right, I mean, obviously we're big Biggie fans here.
The
and
greatest. Yep.
I wouldn't put him at number one
Almost.
but I mean I want to know because I discovered him through to the diddler, through the diddler, really. When ready to Life After Death came out.
Yeah.
That's when I first heard of it. When Hypnotized
Mhm.
first came out
Yeah.
on the on MTV and all that. That's
Mhm.
when I first heard about Biggie. But
Mhm.
you were the one who introduced me to the proper Biggie
Mhm.
when you lent me the Ready to Die CD.
Oh.
Okay, so what about how did you get into the music, and what were your first impressions when you first listened to Ready to Die?
Um, I think when I think first heard Biggie when I was 13, like around the same time that you heard Life After Death, because I mean, I honestly I first heard about Biggie after after the shooting. So like
Okay.
yeah, man, like that's when Life After Death came out. That's when Hypnotize came out. That's when what else came out? Like Sky is the Limit,
Yeah.
the songs from Life After Death. But it's just you know for me back then as a kid, the factor was hey, these songs are catchy as hell, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then growing up, I've always been a Biggie fan all my life, and then growing up in my 20s, like you realize how genius he was when it came to wordplay, when it came to rhyming, when it came to the way he would structure his verses. Like the dude's a genius, man.
Do you have any favorite Biggie verses?
Oh,
What are your favorite ones?
um, okay. So one of my favorite ones is the one from Unbelievable.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Sam- Sampled by is an R. Kelly sample too. I found out eventually,
yeah,
right? That's
yeah, yeah,
right. So
yep, yep.
and then what else? What else?
I would say another one would be the original, not the remix, the original. One More Chance.
Yeah. When it comes to
When it comes
sex,
to sex, I'm similar to the Thriller in Manila.
I think we were laughing a lot about that when we were
I was
kids. I remember
like
that.
for an opening verse. Yeah.
So I would say mine would be, well, one of my favorite songs is I Got a Story to Tell, really, from Life
Mm,
After Death,
right.
right? And
Yeah.
that's just, I think, one of the best storytelling
Uh.
songs that ever existed. The way he just told that story from top to bottom.
Uh.
Obviously, I don't want to get into the lyrics so much, but that was
Right.
when he took a girl home, and apparently that the girl was with the guy from the New York Knicks,
Right.
and I don't know who came out years after,
Uh.
and obviously I don't want to I don't want to speak ill of them, but
Uh.
obviously the player was actually Anthony Mason from the Knicks
Oh.
eventually. So if that story was true,
Yeah.
Biggie was messing with Anthony Mason's girl
Messing with Anthony Mason.
when
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was playing in Utah against the Jazz.
Right.
And that and the way he just told that story was
Uh-huh.
just crazy. And Ten Crack Commandments as well. That was
Oh.
another.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Kick in the door.
Oh man, yo, that
Kick in the
song.
door, yeah.
I'm so frustrated at that song. You know why? Because
Uh,
if you go on the CD and you select "Kick in the Door,"
yeah.
you're gonna get at least like a 2 minute, 3 minute skit
Right, right at the start.
before
Yeah,
you get into the song,
yeah. Right.
right? But in the Notorious soundtrack, I think it's
Right.
the biopic soundtrack, you get the proper version where you just
Yeah.
get the sample and he goes. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember the verse? I think one of the best verses he had was the Flavor and E remix.
Oh, and these are stuff that people don't know. A lot of people don't know because he was a guest. He was a guest rapper in a lot of other artists' songs. That's not a Craig Mack.
Yeah. I mean, you get more butt than ashtrays. Fuck a fair one. I get mine the fast way.
Yeah.
you know, that was it. That was it.
Yep.
So, and
You see the gimmicks, the whack lyrics.
yeah, shit is depressing.
Yeah.
The one of the songs that I really like, and I just realized how epic it was the last song really on Life After Death. You're nobody till somebody kills you.
Oh yeah,
It's just a haunting song, and
yeah,
I don't know if you saw the. So I don't know if you knew, but Johnny Depp was making a movie about the Biggie killing, the Biggie case.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah, I think it was him and Forrest Whitaker. If I'm not, I don't know if it was Forrest Whitaker, but Johnny Depp was essentially the lead in that. And there was a trailer for that movie, and the song that was playing throughout was what we're talking about. You're
Right.
nobody till somebody kills you. It's just a haunting
It
thing,
just
and
it just yeah it just like it just leaves a sour note, especially like here, like just FYI, the exact spot where Biggie was shot it's less than 2 miles from where I live.
oh really?
Yeah, man, it's right
The-
in front of the Peterson Automotive Museum.
yeah, that was it, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Look,
It's less than two
we
miles
got
away, man. Like,
well, well. Think about it this way. So we have obviously the Diddy case
yeah,
coming up, and they already brought up the connection between him and Suge Knight. So
Right.
apparently, one of Diddy's people mentioned that I think it was his assistant or something. He mentioned that they went to a diner or something, and
Right.
Suge Knight was there.
hmm
And apparently Diddy wanted to bring guns to inside the diner, and apparently I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
And obviously, there's a lot of rumors coming
Yeah.
around about who killed Tupac and who killed
Yeah.
Biggie.
And speaking of the Tupac shooting, was Suge Knight the one who started the fight after the Tyson?
No, I think if I remember the story
altercation?
correctly,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, the altercation was
Yeah.
instigated totally by Tupac himself.
oh okay.
So it's just I think it's about a chain or something like that
Right.
that was robbed, and
Uh-huh.
he instigated it, and obviously
Yeah.
that kind of where it led
Mhm.
to what it was, and yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it's from Biggie's perspective. There were a couple of, I don't know if you saw there were two series that were essentially, I think it's still on Netflix. One is the one with Josh Duhamel. So one of the theories that they had about Biggie's killing, there was a case around it.
Right.
That was one. And there was another I think it was another series about Biggie's killing as well, wherein you'd had, because there's two different theories as to how it happened, really.
Right.
Because I mean, to this day, it was unsolved. Biggie's
Yeah.
mom just passed away recently. She
Right.
never found out the truth, right?
Yeah.
But she's been fighting for that forever, and
Right.
there's two series on Netflix right now. I think it was Untold or Unsolved or something. That was, I think that's the Josh Duhamel one.
Right.
And there's another series that you can find that deals with a different kind of theories to how it happened, from an LA cop perspective.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that you can watch
Yeah.
with regards to this. This has been unsolved since '97. Really, it's fortunate. I mean, do we know who did it? Really?
Now it's like nobody really knows. So it's one of those mysteries. Wrapped
I
in
mean,
a riddle.
Well, there was this. If you watch the Josh Duhamel one, the Josh
Yeah.
Duhamel series, I'm gonna get the exact series. I think it was Unsolved, Biggie and
Unsolved.
Tupac murder, or something like that.
Right.
So the theory was, oh yeah, here you go. Unsolved is the name of the show, and it was based on the book by Greg Kading, who's being played by Josh Duhamel in this series. So he plays Greg Kading, who's one of the detectives on the case.
Right.
So it's a 10 episode series. Really, it's really nice. If it's still on Netflix, if not, try to find it
Right.
somewhere. It's
Yeah.
really nice, man, and I wouldn't mind watching this again.
Right.
But it's basically saying that the Biggie's killer was someone hired
Right.
by either. Well, they're saying he was hired by Suge Knight as retaliation for the Tupac murder.
For the Tupac
which
murder. Yeah.
in that case, they say that Diddy was the one who did that. I don't know, but I might rewatch it just
Yeah.
because I remember what it is.
Yep.
But it was released in 2018. Really, it's just it's just a fun watch. So
Right.
if you want to go watch that, that's probably
Yeah.
something you can see. And there's obviously that Biggie movie, Notorious, that
Yeah.
you can have a look at as well.
Yep.
That's just a movie. The guy who played him was really good too,
Oh, it was really good. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
the guy who played him really looked like him. So
Yeah.
it's crazy how Jamal Willard is
Yeah.
his name. So
Yeah,
he looked like
Jamal,
him,
yeah.
and he really looked like Biggie.
Yeah.
I thought
Yep.
it was him.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about this movie is that Anthony Mackie was Tupac in this movie.
The Falcon.
Clarence was Tupac in this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Captain America.
Captain America's on this movie.
Oh shit.
And the thing is, here was how happened. So they eventually made a Tupac bio movie as well, and
Right. Yeah.
the guy who played Biggie in the Notorious movie played Biggie in that movie as well.
Mm.
But they didn't get Anthony Mackie as Tupac. They got another guy. So I don't know, because from what I remember with the Notorious movie, Anthony Mackie didn't really come off as Snoop in my eyes.
Right.
Sorry, as Tupac in my eyes. It just
Yeah.
looked weird. Go watch it, man. If you haven't seen it yet, it was so funny how big of a miss that was. Anthony Mackie's a great actor. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But he just didn't sound like Tupac, man. He just didn't
Oh,
feel like
gosh.
Tupac. He
Yeah.
kind of tried to look like Tupac,
Yeah.
but he didn't. It was pretty
Yeah,
bad, man.
speaking
If you
of
want,
biopics, like I think one of the best that have come out is the Straight Outta Compton one.
that was great. That was great.
That was
Yes,
good. Yeah.
that was great. That
Yeah.
scene where they were in the bus and the kids were putting gang signs,
Yeah.
and the gangsters came up with it was crazy, man. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about NWA
Yeah.
eventually. I
Yeah.
want to talk about that because that was a great. I
Yeah.
agree. That was a great movie.
Mm.
So
Yep.
okay, so that's essentially what we have for this week. And
Right.
as we talked about, we had game 3 of the Western Conference Finals finished. Tomorrow
Yep.
we're gonna have the Eastern Conference Finals. Probably next time we talk to each other is gonna be the start of the finals, so that's gonna
Right.
be exciting.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna talk more about the finals preview next week, and we
Right.
probably could talk about the awards as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for
right.
today's episode. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.
We got it.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Appreciate it.
Right, peace.
Cheers.